How can I evict a tenant? A landlord must have a valid reason to evict a tenant, such as non-payment of rent, improper behavior, impaired safety, or the landlord's personal use of the unit, as some examples. In most situations, before a landlord can apply to the Landlord-Tenant Board to evict a tenant, they must first give the tenant a notice of termination that tells the tenant the reason the landlord wants to evict them. For some termination notices, the landlord must read the instructions carefully and wait a specific number of days to see if the tenant corrects the problem before they can file an application with the Landlord-Tenant Board. The number of days the tenant has to correct the problem is indicated in the notice. If the tenant does not correct the problem and/or does not move out, the landlord can file an application with the Landlord-Tenant Board using the correct form based on which notice the tenant was originally given. In most situations, a hearing will be scheduled within 2 to 6 months. Wait times in 2022 are much longer than normal and could be 6 months or longer before the application is heard. At the hearing, the member listens to the landlord and the tenant and then makes a decision. If an eviction order is issued, it tells the tenant when they must be out of the unit. If they do not move out, then the landlord can file this order with the Court Enforcement Office, commonly known as the sheriff. Only the court enforcement officer can evict a tenant. Can a tenant be evicted in the winter? Yes, a tenant can be evicted anytime an order is made based on the enforceable date shown on that order. Not being able to evict in the winter is a myth. The landlord can file this order with the Court Enforcement Office, commonly known as the sheriff. Only the sheriff can enforce an eviction.